Welcome to MGAA Conversations, a new podcast channel where we'll be discussing with an exciting number of guests all things related and topical within the ever-growing MGA community. Welcome to the latest MGAA Conversations. I'm Mike Keating, CEO of the MGAA, and today I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Caroline Wagstaff, CEO of the London Market Group. Caroline, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike. Great to be here.
Fantastic. Looking forward to our conversation. So let's get straight to it. So for our listeners, Caroline, some will know what the London Market Group do, some will not. So perhaps if you could just frame what the London Market do, what your aspirations are, etc. I'm sure that would be a great place to start.
Yes, thank you. Yes, in the world of many three-letter acronyms in insurance, the LMG does get confused with, other things with the letters L and M in them quite often. But our role basically is to speak up for the London market. So we represent all of the brokers, the company market, and the businesses operating at Lloyd's, which makes us unique in that we have everybody in the value chain within our sort of stakeholder group. And basically, we go to bat when there are problems we think are better solved by the market acting together, and we take on those, and we leave subjects which are particular to the Lloyd's market or the brokers, we'll leave that to LIBA or to the LMA or to the Corporation of Lloyd's. So speaking up for the London market, we're promoting it to the people who bring us business, we're promoting it to government, to Westminster and Whitehall, and most of all, to young talent who we want to attract into work in our industry.
So would it be fair, Caroline, that when you look at bringing your community together, are you doing a lot of sort of horizon scanning in terms of those sort of opportunities, issues where, you can be the tip of the spear?
Yes, I think it's an interesting mixture of horizon scanning, but also keeping your eye on the ball on the things that you've been doing, a lot of which are solving quite medium to long-term problems. So if you talk about how we talk to government, for example, a lot of the conversations we've been having in the 4.5 years I've had this job have been very consistent. We talk about the importance of specialty insurance to the UK economy, our contribution to GDP, the things we need to be fit for the future. And then on top of that, of course, you're dealing with the sort of events, dear boy, of changing governments, changing ministers. You're going back to the beginning again because you've just educated one city minister on what specialty insurance is. And then suddenly you've got another one and you've got to start all over again. So it's, as I say, an interesting mixture of thinking about what we're already doing and how do we do more of that, and also thinking about what might be coming up in the future.
Interesting. So can I ask you, because you are in a unique position, and I know you quite well that you're a glass half full lady. Are you buoyant around where the London market is currently in terms of direction of travel?
I am, and I am a Tigger-like individual. So you're right. I am going to see the positive. So one of the things that we do is every 2 years we track London market data. So we look at premium, we look at where it's coming from geographically, we look at employment. We kind of take those temperature points of how the London market is doing. And we're in the middle of doing the data, which we will release in January 2026. But the early indications are that the market is in very robust health. We've seen significant growth. We're seeing, most of our business, as comes from overseas. We're seeing growth in employment. Our contribution to city GDP is going up. So those are all really good positive signs. I think what we have to, in my less Tigger-like moments, when I'm having maybe an Eeyore moment, what we have to think about is, what about competition? There are lots of other global insurance markets who are keen to take London market business. And you definitely see that their rates of growth are, as consistent, if not faster, than ours. So I think, especially when we talk to government, it's this sort of two-sided story, which is, here is a jewel in the crown of UK financial services, a market that's been in London and been successful and a global leader for 350 years. But we can't rest on our laurels. There are people out there who'd like a bit of our lunch.
Yeah, that's an excellent move into what I wanted to talk to you about, regulation. So I know it's something you've been particularly active in, certainly with government and with the regulator. So looking at the FCA currently, and they clearly have a competitive objective, and you've touched upon ensuring that the London market remains that jewel in the crown. You know, what score would you give the regulator currently in terms of exercising that competitive advantage, and what would you like to see them do more of?
So I think the start point is exactly the right one, Mike, which is we lobbied really hard to get that secondary growth and competitiveness objective put into the Financial Services and Markets
Yeah,
Act. We were really, really keen to see them focus more, not just on, making sure that the market is regulated properly, which is, can I say, really important and a reason people come to London to do business, but to have that view of how can we be more competitive globally. So that was a great place to start. What we do is, it's not really my opinion, we actually do a sentiment index. So we ask our members how they think the regulators are doing every year. So we take the questions that the regulators ask themselves and we ask the insurance community, the compliance officers in brokers and underwriters, how they think they're doing. And it's very interesting. The numbers have really improved in the last 2 years, particularly for the FCA. And so the lived experience of people being regulated is clearly improving. And I think that's a great place to sort of start the conversation. And the tone from the top is really positive. What you hear, I think, from Nico Ratti and Sam Woods on the PRA is a very positive story about what they're trying to do. But they are trying to turn a liner in marine terms. These are big organizations, culture changes, relatively slowly. And so I think, one is don't take your foot off the gas, good start, but there's no room, no room to slow down now. The things we really focus on are about proportionality. And particularly with the FCA, one of the things that we find has been a problem is that they tend to regulate wholesale insurance in the same way they regulate retail insurance. And there is no doubt that the insurance buyer for British Airways is a very different type of consumer to somebody who's buying their caravan insurance on an aggregator site in terms of information and expertise and the advisory services that they get from brokers. But they're not regulated differently at the moment. And so one of our campaigns has been to have a better description of what is a wholesale consumer. And I think that will be good for all parts of the ecosystem. And it's still work in progress, but there is work underway, and I'm hopeful that will be quite a big tick in the box to get that work completed.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I believe the simplifying insurance consultation was a
Yeah,
good foundation in terms of identifying what a large customer is, the
yeah,
co-manufacturing in particular for, my membership. So, and when I spoke to Graham Reynolds, actually, he made the point that simplifying consultation was just the start of what they
yeah,
wanted to sort of have that continued dialogue to try and actually achieve their competitive sort of objective, and as well as making it easier for people to operate effectively in the market, whilst all the time ensuring that customer outcomes are where they need to be. So
yeah.
it's encouraging in terms of your feedback regarding the sentiments of the market and the indexes we put together, and let's hope that momentum continues. So
Yeah.
we're all basically stakeholders in making it successful. I agree.
Yeah, and we all have to keep being actively part of the consultation and working with the regulators and working with Treasury. I mean, I think probably for everybody, we all feel, more momentum would be good. But, they have processes and processes take time and so forth. But I think, what I keep saying to Treasury when I talk to them is, yeah, it's great. Just keep pushing them. Keep pushing them. Don't let them slow down.
Okay, I now want to move to something which I know is something you're extremely passionate about, and without wanting to embarrass you, I believe that you are by far and away the trailblazer in terms of advocating for young talent. I'd like you to share, what the LMG do around attracting and retaining young talent into the industry, and what you'd like to see perhaps more of the industry do to improve that. And please touch upon your very, very successful Leadenhall Market event, despite the sort of awful heat which you shared with me. So, so take it away, Carolyn. In an area which
Yes,
I know you're very passionate about.
I am. I am. I mean, when I arrived, I've been in the market for 27 years now, and this has been a debate we've all been having probably for longer than that, possibly 350 years. There's a lot of chest beating and wailing and gnashing of teeth that nobody chooses to come into insurance. Everybody wants to be investment banker or a management consultant, and nobody loves us. Why doesn't anyone want to be in insurance? And I think one of the problems is, and we've been very bad about this with all sorts of audiences, is we just don't talk about it enough. We don't go out and advocate for an industry which is great to work in, does amazing social good, and makes a great economic contribution. So I said, let's try and solve for one problem, which is making specialty insurance a destination career for young people. And that takes a lot of things happening simultaneously. You need to build somewhere for them to go and find out about it. You need to make sure that the jobs are really visible to people, because we're an industry with not many marquee names. Nobody's heard of lots and lots of quite big businesses in our market. So you need to make those jobs really visible to people. You need to make sure you've got role models that people can relate to so that they see people like them in the market. And then you need to put yourself out there in front of them, and whether that's physically by going out to schools or virtually by using social media. And if I were to talk about everything we were doing, you'd be very bored, and so would everybody else. So I'm just going to pick a couple of highlights. One is the work we do with with sixth formers to bring them into the market. I think there's a real seeing is believing moment when people come into our market. They kind of get it. So we work with 50 schools around London. We talk to 1,500 students in the year about why it's a great place to work. And we bring in 150 for a 2-week work experience program in the summer. And that means they get to work with us collectively about learning about insurance. They also learn skills, how to network. They do a fantastic sort of Dragon's Den type day where they get mentored by market people, and they end up presenting to our board. And it blows me away every time I see it, because some of them look a bit nervous, but some of them stand there talking about third-party liability like they invented it. It's hilarious.
Fantastic.
And then this year, what we did, we've always had a sort of small, quite low-key careers fair. And this year, my mad idea was that we were going to have a festival, not quite Glastonbury, but as close as I could get on my very limited budget. And we were going to do that in Lime Street. So we managed to persuade the City of London to give us access to a bit of Lime Street. We had 50 market firms, all had stands there, sort of tables with merchandise and whatever. We had stilt walkers, DJs, pizza, ice cream. And it was 30 degrees. I did have a rain plan. I didn't have oh my God, it's really hot plan.
Yeah.
But there was a fantastic sense of joy about it. The market kind of slightly got its head up, was like, look, we can be interesting and we can attract people. We had, I think in total, we had around 350 students. We had, we invited anybody from the market who'd got interns or work experience students to bring them. We had our 150. We'd got some university students. We offered tickets to CII, to Bayes Business School. It was a very inclusive event. We ran a CV surgery so that students could get professional HR people to look at their CVs. We had a photographer so people could get a free professional headshot for their kind of CV or their social media. It was a blast. It's going to be a busy day when we started at 5:30 building the set. We were a small, scrappy trade association with no money. So I was out there in my gym kit, building stuff. And by 8:30, I'd done my 10,000 steps for the day. So I was like, it's going to be a busy day.
Excellent. And is it your proposal to repeat it in 2026?
Absolutely. We've had everybody's said to us, you are going to do it again, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah, of course we will. What am I doing? But you have to make this a sort of multi-touch point journey for young people, because then those young people, we keep in touch with them. We appoint them at the jobs board, because all the apprenticeships are now being offered on the London Insurance Live Jobs Board, and the graduate roles. We do, we post every day on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. You're on an escalator essentially. Because every year there's a new set of 17-year-olds who haven't heard of insurance. So you can't just sort of go, job done. we've talked about that for 5 years. You're going to have to keep doing it, and that is what I'm really all about.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I know we've spoke about this separately, but the MGAA will certainly be supporting that event next year, so they can look out both on your website and your sort of social platforms as well as the
Yeah.
MGAA's in order. And we're looking forward to sort of contributing and assisting in that event in 2026. So absolutely fantastic stories and great. So look, I wanted to come to sort of our final theme really. So. In 12 months' time, when hopefully we're sat down and we're having another conversation, maybe over a glass of wine, then what would you hope to be sharing with me, our listeners, around the progress of the LMG in the next 12 months? Notwithstanding, have another fantastic Lime Street event.
Well, I had another fantastic Lime Street Festival, and hopefully it won't have rained, but I won't have done quite such a successful anti-rain dance. We'll just tone down the temperature a bit, or have given everyone a sort of sunshade. I think the next 12 months, I think, is going to be busy. We're going to kick off the year with the next version of London Matters. I think that's going to be really important. And I think some of the really important data actually links back to the talent question. One of the problems we've got is we've got an aging professional population. And, I'm part of that aging population. So I'm not saying we shouldn't be working, but we have more people over 50 than we do under 30. And that is a systemic problem for the industry. And so certainly the attracting young people is really important. But the other thing we have to make sure is that we keep hiring them. We don't actually, as an industry, hire that many young people. We hire about 1,200 young people for a market that employs 60,000. If you talk to someone like Ernst & Young, they're a firm of 20,000 people and they take 1,600 young people. And if you model that forward, you start to see some quite alarming data about what the age of the population looks like in a decade. And that's something we're going to be talking quite a lot about at the beginning of next year, because I worry that as the market softens and that maybe, business conditions become a little bit more challenging, the thing that people stop doing is they stop hiring young people. And there's a whole issue of AI and what do those young people do? And I get all of that. But I don't want people to take short-term decisions without understanding the long-term consequences. So that's going to be a big focus for us in the beginning of next year. So that will be one thing. We will be repeating all our talent work, including the Lime Street Festival. But the other thing we're starting to do is we're starting to try and build pools of talent that people can come and fish in. So one of the problems businesses have is you run a job advert for, an entry-level role. You're probably going to get 800 applicants. They're going to have no experience. It's quite hard to tell them apart. You're making decisions on very flimsy evidence. And what happens if you're busy is you will tend to take the line of least resistance and hire the easiest candidates.
Correct.
So one of the things I'm trying to say is we are fantastically collaborative as a market. Why don't we create a single pool of entry-level talent and say to people, tell us what your job roles are. We'll run an assessment centre and assess the students, just one, so they don't have to do 5 of them. And we can do a sort of matching service. And you can get rid of all the kind of difficult stuff about the application. This is a very diverse pool of talent. We're very deliberately, going and finding candidates from diverse, sort of cold spots in the economy. How can we work together to make everybody's life easier and to actually employ some more young people? So we've got 2 of those programs running this year. One is for apprenticeships and one is just for entry-level roles. Lots of people find it difficult to find operations staff, HR, marketing, all really important services that businesses need, but it's hard to find those young people at an entry level. So we've got 2 of those programs going next year. Happy to talk to people about those. So that we're looking for a sort of successful launch on that as well. Progress, obviously, on the regulatory front. This is less for your market probably than the carrier market, but we are looking. We've been very successful in getting the UK government to agree to a UK captive regime. That's a big piece of work for us next year to make sure that we're genuinely building something which is going to be globally competitive.
Yeah, and that obviously is a direction of travel for some of our MGA members in terms of their own captives, certainly who have the size.
Yeah,
So I think that work is
yeah,
excellent. So that's a great
yeah.
opportunity all around. So that's fantastic. So as we would both say, a very busy dance card next year.
Oh, no, no, no. I'll be sitting around painting my nails and eating bonbons. Really, barely anything to get done.
Well, look, it's been absolutely fantastic chatting to you. I know our listeners will have a much greater insight in terms of the London Market Group, certainly understand you more if they hadn't met you previously. Really want to thank you very much for your time and look forward to catching up with you again soon. All the best.
Brilliant. Thanks. Lovely to chat to you, Mike. Speak soon.
Many thanks for listening. We welcome all feedback, so please get in touch with your suggestions on topics and future guests. Please don't forget to subscribe on your chosen platform so that you don't miss out.